Do you or anyone that you know have puppies that are purebreds that you either got from a breeder or from a pet store? Well, I'm here today to tell you why that is not a great idea and why you should support your local animal shelters instead, and why you should adopt, don't shop. My name is Michelle. I'm a wildlife conservation major, and I have 5 years of experience working at an animal shelter, seeing the ins and outs of these animals that live there. So by the end of this presentation, I hope that you no longer support puppy stores in malls or other locations by buying the animals there or the animal supplies. I want you to stop buying dogs from puppy stores and support local animal shelters instead. I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Do you care about animals and their treatment? Do you want dogs to be hyperbred and have genetic issues and then in turn cost more in medical bills? Do you want to pay less money on adoption fees and support local animal shelters? If you answered yes to any of these, this presentation is for you. I'm going to talk about 3 different topics under this: animal welfare, the breeding mishaps, and overrun shelters. First, we'll go over animal welfare, talking specifically about those puppy mills. So let's define what a puppy mill is. It's an area or a location of mass production of puppies of any breed that are pumped out to puppy stores to be sold across either in stores or online all throughout the country. There's estimated to be about 10,000 puppy mills across the United States, 500,000 dogs that are kept just for breeding purposes, and those dogs are kept in very small cages and often never see the outside world. And once they're unable to be bred anymore, they're often killed, which is very sad. There's also an estimated of 2.6 million puppies sold per year. There are USDA inspections that go on at these puppy mills, but organizations such as the Humane Society of the United States, ASPCA, or PETA do not believe those guidelines are up to date or up to code. You can see an image in the top right here that shows how small the cages are, and in the bottom right, you can see that there are often holes in the cages and dogs try to escape and they end up hurting themselves on the wires. So you need to stop supporting puppy mills and puppy stores. So now let's talk about the puppy stores themselves. They are often not great conditions for these dogs to be living in. They're often in small glass cages with shredded paper as their base. They're supposed to have clean food and water in them, but are often not even fed the right water, which fed the right food, which is crucial for a puppy because they need certain vitamins and minerals to grow properly. There is something called the lemon law in the United States, which gives you a warranty period where you can return the puppy and get a refund or a replacement puppy if they get sick, which I think further identifies the puppy as an object. There's also the Animal Welfare Act, which limits who is allowed to sell puppies in the United States, and certain codes within the state of Virginia. One, which the 3.26537 has or limits the permits that are able to go out and certain rules to follow within that. And then 3.16513.1 is for posting info. You must post all the necessary information about the dog, such as their breed, sex, colors, microchip number, any medical treatment they got, and all the information from where they came from. So next, we're going to talk about the breeding mishaps that happen within these puppy mills and stuff that happens from them. There are certain illnesses that these dogs can get at the puppy mills, such as they can get diarrhea, kennel cough, parvovirus, which is very serious and is very contagious and often deadly if left untreated, and also some genetic disorders that end up coming from the breeding. You can see Coco up here, who has hip dysplasia and has had many surgeries to try to correct this. Lily was born with a facial deformity. Harley ended up losing an eye due to some issues, and Trevor eventually went blind in both eyes from an autoimmune disease. A lot of these issues come from something called inbreeding, which is when animals that are too closely related genetically breed with each other, and it causes genetic issues because their gene pools are too closely related. So you need to want better lives for animals. Next, within the issue of overrun shelters. So there isn't a classification of a shelter called a no-kill shelter. And at first glance, everyone thinks that this means that no animal that walks through that door it will ever be euthanized. Sadly, that is not true. It actually means that 90% of the animals that walk through the door will get to see a forever home, and 10% do end up being euthanized for various reasons. Some of those reasons can be behavior related, meaning the animal was potentially just too aggressive to handle and could never be put out to a home, or medical reasons where they're at too advanced of a stage of some disease and they're being put out of their misery. There are other more depressing reasons at shelters where animals end up being euthanized, which is part of the issue. If a shelter reaches capacity, certain shelters will euthanize animals just because they're at capacity. Or if an animal is there for an extended period of time, they will sometimes be euthanized for that reason as well. Which is why you should adopt animals from your local animal shelters to stop this issue so innocent animals who did nothing wrong are not going to be euthanized just for existing at the shelter. Also, just the most common breeds at shelters are pit bulls, which I'm sure is no surprise to anybody, labs, and German shepherds. Pit bulls are common because they're labeled as a bully breed and have a bad reputation. Simple as that. Labs are the most common mass-produced dog breed in the United States, so they are often adopted very quickly, but from these puppy stores, and our people realize they can't handle a dog necessarily, so they turn them into a shelter. German Shepherds are also most common because they require a lot of specific care and they are high energy, and people realize they can't handle them, so they get turned into shelters as well. So, I want you to get your next pet from your local animal shelter. And here are some options for you in the nearby area. You have Montgomery County Animal Care and Adoption Center in Blacksburg, Roanoke Valley SPCA in Roanoke, the Humane Society of Montgomery County, which just has cats, but still great, in Christiansburg, Floyd County Humane Society in Floyd, and Pulaski Animal Control in Dublin. Their phone numbers are there for you, so you can call and see what animals they have. You can also just Google or search their names and go to their website and see what animals they have. So, in conclusion, I hope that I have persuaded you to no longer support puppy stores, or in turn, those puppy mills, or like don't buy animals, don't buy the supplies from them or anything. Because I want you to ask yourself, do you care about the animals and their treatment? Do you want dogs to be so hyperbred they have genetic issues? Do you want to pay less on adoption fees while also supporting your local animal shelters? Just remember that I want you to stop buying dogs from puppy stores and support your local animal shelters instead. I went over 3 topics: animal welfare, breeding mishaps, and overrun shelters. I really hope that I persuaded you to stop going to puppy stores and go visit your local animal shelter for your next furry friend. Thank you.